Lasagna in my thrussy? A fanfiction written by House of Swiss Roll. It's very hot in the convention center, as hot as two rats fucking in a wool sock. Shiro made his way through the crowds of people huddled over boxes of hentai and furry porn magazines. This was his favorite time of the year, the annual furry hentai convention. Shiro had spent all night finishing up his fursuit to wear to the convention. He was very proud and he was ready to show this bad boy off to all the other fursuiters and hentai fans this morning. Shiro put on his fursuit and checked himself out in his hotel room mirror. The fursuit he had made was very poorly done. It was just a bunch of fake fur glued together to form an ill-fitting bodysuit of neon orange fur. The head of the fursuit was just a box with holes cut out for eyes. It was supposed to be a Garfield fursuit. Shiro looked at himself once more and then gave his ass a big slap when he decided it was time to leave. Shiro pulled up to the convention center in his 1950 Volkswagen bus. He couldn't find a good parking spot, so he drove his bus right into the convention center. Shiro got out of his vehicle and entered the convention center. The convention center was very humid, most likely because of all the panting and sweaty furries running around the convention. Shiro's first stop was the artist alley. He really wanted some hot, fresh furry artworks and to commission some hot Garfield artwork. Shiro walked up and down the rows of artist booths, but found no sexy art. But then Shiro spots a beautiful man dressed in a bodacious purple fursuit and had a huge ass. The man is sitting behind the last artist booth. Shiro goes toward the booth. Just as he approaches the hot purple man, he trips and falls on his orange tail that was stapled to the back of his fursuit. Shiro falls face first into the ground and his thitty smack into the concrete floor. "Oof, ouch," Shiro says. Then all of a sudden a pair of sweaty, steamy purple hands are picking Shiro up off the floor. It is the purple man. "You alright, sweat cheeks?" Oink, the man asked. Shiro is too busy staring at this man's beautiful feet. The man is sporting a neon pink pair of flip-flops that perfectly show off his thick, moist toes. Fuck, I wanna suck those toes," Shiro thinks. "You distracted, beautiful?" Wink. "They're nice little piggies, aren't they? Just got a pedicure this morning." Wink, the man says. He is right. They are really hot toes. Thanks for helping me," Shiro says, trying not to stare down at those feet again. If he stares for too long, he might get hard. "No worries, my sexy Garf." Wink, the man replies. Shiro blushes at the nickname. "Well, if you excuse me, I have some art commissions to finish." As the man turned away, Shiro reached out to grab his shoulder. "Wait," Shiro said to the man. "You take commissions?" "I sure do," said the man. "Would you be interested in drawing Garfield inflating himself on a hot lasagna for me?" The man looked at Shiro with a big smile on his face. "Why sure, darlin', I would love to." Wink. Shiro followed the man over to his booth where he wrote down the details of the commission. "How much do I owe you?" Shiro asked. "This one's on the house, babe," said the man, giving Shiro a wink. "Wow, thank you so much." "The name's Thace." Thace. Just thinking about the name made his dick sweat in his fursuit. Shiro left the artist alley to explore the rest of the con. However, Thace was still on his mind, his ass plump and round like a basketball and his toes so big and perfect for sucking. Thace was the definition of a yif, young, incredibly fuckable furry, and Shiro was DTY, down to yif. Shiro made his way to the dealer's room, where he stopped to look at a booth filled with fancy collars and tails that doubled as butt plugs. Shiro picked up a bright red leather collar with small weed leaves printed into the fine material. He looked at the price tag. $6664269. That's a little expensive for my taste, Shiro thought as he reached to put the collar back on its hook. Just then he felt someone breathing on his neck. "You got a pretty good taste in collars," said the voice behind him. Shiro turned around to see none other than B. Arthur. "B, I thought you were dead." B chuckled and seductively slung her arm around Shiro. Yeah, but I came back from the dead for your sweet ass. Wink. Shiro was unimpressed. Okay, B, you were great in the Golden Girls, but I'm not really into the way you're acting right now. B did not stop, however. This collar would look amazing on you, you know, B said, taking the collar from Shiro's hands and holding it up to him. I'll buy it for you and everything you could ever want in exchange for a night of sweet love. Just then a blur of purple swooped in and knocked B the fuck out. B was punched so hard she turned into dust and was sent back to the dead. It was Thace. Don't touch my mans, you old hag, Thace yelled and then turned to Shiro. You okay? He asked. Shiro responds, a heavy blush on his cheeks, both the ones on his face and his ass. He didn't expect Thace to give the old 1-2 knockout to an old woman to have the effect it did on him. I have your commission for you. Thace holds up a sheet of paper depicting none other than good old Garf, scarfing down some lasagna fresh out of the oven. Oh, Thace, how can I ever thank you? Shiro says, teary-eyed. Well, I know one way. Wink, Thace says. Oh? Wink, Shiro questions. And I'll order the honey chipotle crispers and waffles, Shiro tells the waitress. Wow, Thace, how did you know I love Chili's Grill and Bar? Lucky guess, haha. They eat the rest of their meal in silence, but Shiro cannot take his eyes off Thace's smoking bod and his rock-hard abs. Wow, that sure was a delicious meal, Shiro said, as he then let out a loud belch. God, that was hot, Thace said. Well, tonight was fun, Thacey boy. I'll see you around sometime, yeah? Shiro said, trying to hide the disappointment in his voice. He was hoping for a little more than a dinner at Chili's Grill and Bar. Actually, Thace says as he steps in front of Shiro, I've got one more thing in store for you tonight. Oh? Really? Shiro asked, trying to act innocent and hide the fact that his dick is already rock hard. What if I told you this wasn't a fursuit? Ha 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 ha, oink, Thace whispered hotly into Shiro's ear. I wouldn't believe you, Shiro stammered. Show me, to prove it. You'll see shortly enough, my little Garfield. Shiro shifted uncomfortably in the passenger seat of Thace's pickup truck. His dick strained against his poorly crafted fursuit. If he wasn't careful, his eager member threatening to rip through the flimsy fur. He was relieved when Thace finally stopped at the top of a secluded hill, putting his four in park. He saw the ravenous look in Thace's eye when he saw Shiro's erect member. Even in the dark, with the headlights off, his yellow eyes provided enough light to be able to see. Shiro knew Thace wanted a piece of him. Come get it, Papa John, he whispered. Shiro let Thace wrestle with his fursuit, but he was not careful enough with Shiro's delicate handiwork, so he had to help him along. He rolled down the bodysuit carefully, arching his back as Thace pulled off the basky mask. Shiro said when he felt a gentle finger circle his nip. Lasagna! Baby kitten, you're so sexy when you're hungry for me, Thace responded, and Shiro keened at the praise. His obliques stretched from side to side as he swayed his hips, presenting himself to his master. Shiro had lost all of his higher cognitive functions at this point, and all he could think about was his two favorite tastes, lasagna and spunk. His nipples tightened when he thought about eating up his master. He was entirely naked, and Thance had all of his clothes on. It created the juicy knowledge of who was in control. Thace wanted to treat his baby kitten right, so he got out of the driver's seat of his pickup truck, walked around to the passenger door, and picked Shiro up princess style. He then threw Shiro's body down into the bed of his truck. Shiro yelped in surprise as he realized being control only made him more aroused. You're almost ready, kitten, Thace breathed into Shiro's neck as he sucked on it. His menstruation sent electricity down Shiro's spinal cord that made his dick so hard it was pressed against his belly button. Almost? Asked Shiro innocently. Yes, just one last thing, baby kitten, said Thace in a soothing voice. Shiro felt warm leather with a cool metal grasp tight around his neck. It was right on top of the forming bruise that Thace had just left. Shiro whimpered mindlessly as Thace tightened the collar around his throat. Broken noises kept bursting out of his throat like water from the South Fork Dam. Thace knew Shiro was on the verge of too much stimulation, so he ignored his twitching cock and gave a chaste, closed-mouthed kiss to the pad of his toe. Shiro squirmed with excitement and wiggled his feet in front of Thace's face, but Thace smacked them with one of his huge hands. Good kittens stay still for their masters. Yes, John, squeaked Shiro as he concentrated all of his energy on not squirming or curling his toes. He had to flex his defined abs in order to keep the urge to thrash around and hump the air at bay. His instincts were bleeding through, and he felt truly animalistic, closer to both Garfield and God than he had ever been. Thace's tongue swiped over the bottom of Shiro's big toe, wrenching a lewd cry from Shiro's throat. Thace continued to tenderly suck on Shiro's wiggly toes, like a baby cow eagerly trying to get its mouth on its mother's swollen tit. Thace pulled off of Shiro's delicate foot with an audible pop and smiled flirtatiously up at Shiro, licking his lips teasingly. Let's set the mood, shall we? Thace said as he moved from the bed of his truck to the driver's seat. Shiro lay still in the truck bed, groaning at the loss of contact, dick dripping with pre-cum everywhere, like one of those sprinkler attachments you played with when you were a kid. You know, the plastic ones that were like a hose and had the little sprayers everywhere. Anyway, he wants nothing more than Thace to come back and continue his sweet menstruations on his toesy woesies. All of a sudden, Shiro hears a very familiar but sexy melody.
Sucking on my titties like you wanted me, calling me.
The harmonic melody of Fuck the Pain Away by Peaches wafts through the still night air. It sets the mood perfectly. Thace really did know how to make a man feel special. Before Shiro has a chance to react, he was being flipped onto his stomach. He jumped at the feeling of something cold and round pressing into his sin cave. Shiro peeked around his shoulder to see what it could be. Shiro was greeted by the delicious image of Thace working a tail butt plug into his anal cavity. The tail was bright orange. It strongly resembled the tail of the now discarded fursuit. I bought this today with you in mind, kitty. Wink. Shiro shivered at Thace's comment. Now that your bosom is all filled up, it's time for the real fun to begin, Thace said hotly. Thace took a hold of Shiro's rock-hard, steam-and-semen truck and started to pump away. Thace's fist was moving so fast it was nothing but a purple blur. His fist was moving so fast Shiro felt like his neck was going to rip right off. Just as Shiro was about to bust the biggest nut of his whole life, Thace retracted his hand. "Ah!" Shiro cried. He was so close. I want you to say my name, Thace said authoritatively. Thace, Shiro whimpered. No, say my name, Thace yelled. John Arbuckle. Good kitten. Thace gave Shiro a tender kiss between the shoulder blades and maneuvered him so that he was on his knees facing Thace. Now, how would you like to be throat fucked, My thrussy? Shiro asked. Yes, my little Garf, your beautiful thrussy. Wink. Shiro gives a curt nod to that. Give me the tasty lasagna, John. Thace hastily moves his man-snake into Shiro's eager thrussy. How does that lasagna taste, Garfield? You bad cat. Shiro gives an affirmative hum as he gobbles down Thace's hot lasagna. With all the dirty talk and Thace's purpley meat thermometer hitting all the right places in his thrussy, he did not last long. In a matter of minutes, Shiro was busting his broker everywhere. Face followed shortly after. The two lie spent in the bed of Face's beat-up pickup truck. Shiro looked over at Face, his eyes locking with the other's amber ones. Face stroked a furry hand across Shiro's cheek. "Tonight was really amazing, babe." "Yeah, it really was," Shiro answered. "I love you," Face whispered softly to Shiro. Shiro hummed. "Shiro loves you, baby."